And now bringing you that hard, hitting fight analysis, submitting you into paralysis. Josh Thompson head kicking leg to dome, and Big John McCarthy saying let's get it on.
Well, welcome everyone to the Weighing In podcast. It is my extreme pleasure to not have Josh as my partner on there. I have a co-host, a man all the way from California, the absolute best in the regulatory bodies as far as knowing what to do, how to do it, and breaking things down. My man, Andy Foster. How you doing, Andy?
I'm great, John. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I want to give you a compliment. Most people don't know this, but Andy was a professional MMA fighter for a while there from Georgia, which is where he was originally from. But he just received his black belt, and it's a righteous from Gokar Chavikian there in California. He got his black belt because he was going and tapping out all the people in Gokar's places, even with wrist locks. I love that. I love the fact that you got people with wrist locks. But congratulations. That is an awesome attainment, one that most regulators have no idea what it really took to get there.
Thanks, John. I didn't think it was ever going to happen. I was a brown belt. I don't know. From 2004 or 5 until 2025. That's a long time.
That's a couple years. That's all right. You were. I look at it. You're kind of like a brisket. You're just slow cooking it, right? Yeah. Just taking your time.
No, go court. Man, that guy's tough.
Oh, he's good. People have no idea, man. You sit there and it's one of the things. It was like the first time I ever rolled a go-kart. I'm big, but for a guy who's let's say 190 pounds or so, about right for go-kart. Maybe a little heavier now than when I went with him. But he's got huge hands, and he grabs a hold of you, and they're strong, right? And it's like, hey, let go, and you can't. He's got big, strong hands. That guy is really good. He's a phenomenal instructor, and he's a great practitioner.
I was grappling with him one day, John. I put him into Americana, and I thought I was about to get him. I did, and he subbed me while it was in with a wrist lock. Like he reached over and he looked up at me and smiled. He let me get it.
Oh my God! He suckered you right in, dude. He's really good. He is outstanding, and he's put out a ton of killers throughout the years. That in the state of California, you get to see a lot of those guys because they're all fighting in the smaller shows to get to the bigger ones. But guys like, Carl Parisian, Manny Gambarian, all those guys coming out of Gokar's Hayastan with Gene LaBelle was one of his assistants that was there for forever and just a great human being. Rest in peace, Gene. But let's get into some of the things that are happening. We got all kinds of things. And since I have you on, I'm going to start to give my opinion, which you're going to just laugh at, and you can tell me how wrong I am. But there's all kinds of talk, and we've seen all these things with Dana White coming into the boxing world. He's got Turki Al-Sheikh, who is his partner, and there's people saying that won't last. And then there's also, a lot of MMA fighters are actually talking out about what Dana is trying to do in boxing, which is he's trying to, make it similar to the way he runs the UFC and what he's done there. But you've got the Ali Act that's there for boxing, and so you can't do things exactly the same. So he's been trying to actually get some legislation changed so he can run things in a more efficient manner, have it to more what he's going to say is, he wants to have it to where he has the best fighters fighting the best. And that doesn't always happen in boxing. It's something that becomes difficult based upon sanctioning bodies and promoters and all these things that come into place. So I want to start to break down exactly when it comes to you as a regulator, when you are in a position to have a title fight and it's in boxing, and we have things like, we'll say there's multiple organizations that say that this one person is the champion or the champion of holding their belt, WBC, WA, WBO, IBF, all of those. What is it that the fighter has to go through to actually get that fight sanctioned and put out based upon just sanctioning fees for the sanctioning body, all these things. What is it? What are the steps that have to be taken?
I mean, there's really a lot of steps, John. A lot of times, one promoter will have one fighter under contract, and the other
Mm-hmm.
promoter will have the other fighter under contract. And then a lot of times, like the fighter on with the one promoter will have one of the belts. Okay, like just use WBO for example. Okay,
Okay.
and then let's say the other promoter, his fighter may have two of the belts. And what that means is like the sanctioning bodies, they don't always agree on who the top people are. They don't always agree.
Yeah.
That's why we actually have a unification tomorrow, which is rare. But so what you're trying to do is you're trying to get all four of them. That's what the fighter's trying to do, or the promoter's trying to do.
So they become the undisputed.
Right. So like they'll have to come to some kind of an agreement with each other, the promoter and the other promoter, and they agree, okay, where's it going to be? And then a lot of times they'll take, once they get that agreement, maybe either before or after, probably after, but they go to the TV network, whichever network gonna air it, whoever's got the contract, and they essentially try to sell it. Like we've got this fight, and then if there's one of them that has a vacancy, like sometimes there's a vacancy. That doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes it happens. Then they'll sanction with that organization too, or apply for a sanction with that organization too, so they can unite all four of the belts. But that's essentially how. It's a very elementary way of the way this works. It's pretty complicated. That's why you don't see it very often.
Okay, so let me just get into like in MMA. I don't care if it is the UFC or if it was Bellator, the PFL, if it was back with Strikeforce or any of those. If you were a fighter for one of those promotions and you got the opportunity to fight for the belt, the promoter didn't charge you anything to fight for the belt. You were just allowed to fight for the belt. You didn't pay for the belt. As far as if you win it, you have to actually pay for the manufacturing of it. You didn't have to pay to let the promoter give you that opportunity. I have looked at some of these fees, and I'm gonna pull one up that I know of that's fairly recent. You had Jamel Charlo, is going to fight for, multiple titles, like you're talking about the unification, and we're talking about he's going to make $1 million for that fight. That's great, okay. But then, right off of that, the sanctioning bodies, and I'm not going to say which one is $30,000, another one is $30,000, another one is $30,000, and the cheapest one was $20,000. That all comes out of his purse. He's paying for them to give him the right to fight for those titles. That doesn't happen in MMA. You get to fight for the title, and if you win it, it's yours. They give you a belt. The UFC or Bellator or PFL, they've paid for that belt. In boxing, you're not only paying for the right to have that belt on the line, you got to actually pay for the belt. Am I wrong?
No, that's the way it works.
No, that's the way it works.
Now sometimes the promoter will pay for their fighter's belt instead of the fighter itself. But
for the belt, but not for the sanctioning fee.
Right. No. Now the promoter's assessed a different sanctioning fee. So
they're
fighter,
also assessed the sanctioning fee. So this is like, I don't want to say it's a racket, but it's a racket.
well,
Come on. It's like you're, I'm holding on to something here. Yeah, it's like, here, just pay for this, pay for that. I understand what the sanctioning body is for, Andy, but are they truly needed? Because
John,
it's the promoters that end up being the people that put the fight on. True?
That's
And
correct.
the promoter's the one that takes the risk of making money to put that fight on, or in the end losing money because he doesn't get all the things that he's supposed to get. And in today's world, it's getting harder and harder as a promoter to get these things based upon there's no HBO anymore. There's no Showtime boxing. There's no ESPN anymore. All we have really is DAZN as a true boxing, network, if you want to call them a network, because they're what they are. They're all gone. So it's becoming more and more difficult as the promoter, and you're the one that's not guaranteed to make money, but the sanctioning body's guaranteed to make money for just putting up their belt.
Well, I mean,
am I right again or am I wrong?
That's now one of the.
Okay, I'll just say I'm right.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything.
Sometimes I have saw this multiple times, but what you just mentioned about the TV is incredibly important for people to understand. We lost HBO. We've lost Showtime. Fox is out, and ESPN went out last month. Okay. Now, maybe they come back. I don't think HBO's coming. I mean, I've not heard that they're coming back. But essentially, we're down to DAZN. Now, if you go back 15 years ago and you look at some of the TV contracts that came out, some of these fees and these purses were tied to the sanctioning body belts. If that makes sense. So the fee would correlate to the belt that was on the line. There's real value for a fighter to have that at that point. You understand? Even though they're having to pay a lot of money, if they can have the belt, they can make X
more money.
Yeah. And that was one of the benefits that I saw, just being fair. But since 1996, we saw a tremendous increase in the number of belts that have been given out by organizations, which makes it somewhat difficult for the public to know exactly who the boxing champion is in various weight classes. I mean, we know who Canelo Alvarez is very, very famous. Terrence Crawford's very famous. But even like back in the 80s and early 90s, when you'd hear the name Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, and those were more like everybody kind of associated these guys with the big belts. And now it's become a little bit. I mean, Usyk's got pretty much them all right now, but
heavyweight wise,
right. But it's hard to know across 4 different sanctioning bodies and 17 different weight classes who all the folks are. And I know everybody doesn't follow boxing like that close, but if you've got a world champion, an interim champion, a gold champion, a super champion, an intercontinental champion, and I forget what the big one they call like I don't know, the one that's unified like Usyk. He's got a different name and different group, but you got all these things. I think it makes it difficult for the public to follow sometimes.
I just know that it seems we're always wanting to see the Canelo Alvarez versus the Bud Crawford. That's the kind of fight that people look forward to because they can talk about it and they, everyone's got their ideas of who's going to win and why and where the strengths are, where the weaknesses are. Those are moments that fight fans are always looking to have, but we don't seem to get them near as much in boxing as we do in MMA. When they happen in boxing, it's a big thing, but very rarely do we not get, I can't say, it doesn't happen, but if you have 2 fighters in the UFC, eventually those suckers are going to match up. If they keep winning, they're going to match up. It's inevitable. Where in boxing, it's not inevitable that they'll match up. And that's based upon who the boxer is promoted by. Do they want to put that boxer's let's just the same as look at Terrence Crawford against Canelo. Do I want to put my boxer's 41-0 record up against this guy who's bigger, stronger, and all these things? And you got to look and see if you're that promoter, you're saying, I think my guy can win based upon he's the better boxer and this and that. But many times the promoter will sit there and say, no, I'm not going to do it. Or they'll ask for things in the fight, sometimes trivial, sometimes they actually have an impact about, well, my guy's coming up in weight, so your guy after weighing in can only weigh this much more for the fight. And all these things that'll come in based upon promoters not wanting their guy to lose, because then that hurts their promotion, even though they're co-promoting the fight.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. And, there's also the mandatory that you have to deal with. And then,
but you can buy your way. You can buy your way out of the mandatory, right? Because it's been done.
But I think that's called step aside money. I don't really saw it.
It's not buy your way out. It's step aside money. Got it.
I mean, I think there's ways to get around these things. That are part of the rules, and it's but like in mixed martial arts, if Bellator has like when Scott was doing it. Scott would just, he would make the fights based on, remember Rich Chow would make the fights and he would say, okay, well, this guy's going to fight this guy for the title or whatever. Uh-huh. And because I bring that up because you were there and you remember, and it wasn't always according to the rankings exactly.
No.
Which, is like that in boxing as well, but but you do have that mandatory once a year that the promoters have to work out. That's why, John,
Randy, if you're that guy like an Usyk will say, who is you're the WBC champion, you're the WBA champion, you're the WBO champion, you're the IPF champion, and if those sanctioning bodies have a different person at number one, the WBC has one fighter and the WBO has one fighter, and you have these, it's a mandatory for the year, but that's 4 fights that you would have to have against their mandatories to keep your title within that sanctioning body.
Well, I think there's extensions and things that you can try, like, and then sometimes the same number one contender would be the same number
sometimes.
One. Sometimes.
But many times it's not.
But with the TV money, I don't want to use the term drying up, but there's less TV money to go around. I think that's a fair thing to say. At least here in California, there's less TV money to go around.
I think there's
I'm not talking about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Unless you're the UFC with Paramount.
Well, but that's mixed martial arts. But in boxing,
exactly,
I feel like from what I'm seeing here in the office, we're still doing lots and lots and lots of fights in California, but there's less big televised fights, and it's not just here. It's now Netflix is entering the market, and but that's rare. But the old HBOs on Saturday nights and the Showtimes on Saturday nights that we used to do on a very, very regular basis, those are gone. Now, I kind of think that because of that, John, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that has forced more purse bids than what used to happen. Like, for example, Sean Gibbons.
Do me a favor. Explain purse bids for people. I know what it is, but explain to them that a purse bid is all of these promoters bidding for that fight.
Yeah, like when the mandatory and the champion promoters can't come to an agreement, then it'll be auctioned off to the highest bidder through a purse bid, and whoever wants to buy the purse bid will pay their $5,000 or whatever the fee it is to the sanction organization. Then they'll come in and bid. And like Sean Gibbons from Manny Pacquiao Promotions the other day won. He won the purse bid for a fight. He's going to put it in Japan. I talked to him about it because I thought it might be coming to California because he has December 8th to do it. He has a date with us on the 29th. But he got it for $30,000. So I believe the split was 19. I don't want to tell you wrong. I think the split was 19-5 to the champion and 10-5 to the challenger.
Okay, when you say split, explain what that means as far as the champion and challenger.
Yeah, the champion gets so much money, and the challenger gets so much money. A lot of times, I think the WBC rules, I don't want to tell you wrong, John, but I think it's 75-25 is the split, I think.
Okay.
But this was an IBF fight, and I'm not sure what their split is, but I mean 19-5 and 10-5 looks to me almost like a 2/3 to 1/3 split. That's what it looks like to me, but
Okay.
it's close.
So you're saying that the fighter's going to go and fight for that belt at that price?
Yes.
Okay. And this is a championship fight.
Yeah, world title.
Do you see world title fights in MMA where you see the purse being 19,500 or 10,000?
Well, I mean, yeah,
You see the
no,
checks?
no, I don't in
Okay.
UFC or Bellator or PFL. No, I mean,
Okay.
this is why I'm not a fan. Look, John, this is what I'm saying. I had a thing with Ed Suarez the other day about this. I don't believe in running 5-round fights for $2,500 or $5,000. I just don't. I don't believe it, and I think
I don't
MMA
either.
should get away from that. Like
I
I've
agree with
stopped
you.
that. I don't want to do
What,
it anymore over
it's
here.
like why should if I look at the more rounds you put in, the less time you have in the sport. Let's just be honest.
That's
And so
exactly what I believe.
so why is it that a young fighter should be doing 5-round fights for $2,500 for a lower promotion when it's not going to end up helping his career in any way? All it does is it's detrimental.
The contender series that they use to pick fighters to go to the big show,
3-round fights.
right? I mean, and if that's good enough for them, it should be good. I mean, this is what I believe. Now, I don't think that whether you run a 3-round regional championship or a 5-round regional championship, which I don't want to do here, and I've not been approving them lately. I approved one, the last one I think was just the other day, and I was like, I'm done with this. We're not doing this anymore. I believe that I don't think it matters to the ticket buying public. I think they'll buy the tickets whether it's a 3-rounder or a 5-rounder. I don't see any upside for that fighter to put their body through that. I don't. 5 rounds, John, to train for it's a different thing than 3 rounds. That's a
Sure is.
lot of training.
Yep. And it's also just I say it all the time. As a fighter, you're like a sports car, and you can only take so many bumps and dents before your car doesn't run very well, and that's fighting.
That's right. And John, what we was just talking about with the pay is I think that the 5 rounds or the 12 rounds, whether it be in MMA or boxing, should be commensurate with a pay scale that's somewhat industry driven, but you don't want to undercut these fighters a whole lot just because they will do it and they can do it. Does it mean that they should be doing it? I mean,
Well, let me ask you this. You know the Aliac better than I do. I know it pretty well, but you know it better. You deal with it all the time. What is the upside for the Aliac when it comes to the boxer themselves? And then what is the downside to it?
well, there's the financial disclosure piece of it.
As far as the 80-20, that as
Well,
far as
you
what
mean you
they
can see
get to
that
know what the promoter is making.
there, and there's that. There, they're ranked by like the sanction organizations, which is not the promoter. I mean,
But that's not, sometimes that one's just even worse.
yeah. I just
I said it, you didn't.
that there are some sanction organizations, though, John, that do a good job for their fighters, like try to promote
Sure.
them and these type of things. I mean, the NABF has been around a long time, and when Dwayne was doing it, like Dwayne would use the NABF's influence to advocate for his athletes. I mean, I thought I always thought that he did a good job with all of his athletes. And I'm not trying to be like that. Just there's differences in the things, but and the manager, you can't be a manager and be the promoter. Like you don't need to do both of those things. But that
Like
doesn't
Don
really.
King used to do.
Well,
Look at, let's be honest. The Ali Act, I'll say it, you don't have to. He's not saying this, but I'm saying the Ali Act was written based upon Don King's association with Mike Tyson. Let's be honest. That's what it was.
but here in California, we have our own state.
$87,000 worth of white towels to go around his neck.
Yeah, here in California, like when we do our promotional agreements and stuff, there is a limit to the amount that the commission here allows for a fighter to be withheld. Like, and I'm not sure a lot of people realize that or not, but we only allow up to 33% to be withheld, and that's cumulative. So, I think that's a good rule. I think yeah, I think that's a good rule.
But one of the things that right now is as a well, I think it's the base pay for a boxer that I know of right now. Base lowest they can get is $50 a round. Am I right?
Well, there's a few states that have that, but I think 46 states don't have any minimum. They just have.
They have no minimum. Okay.
Yeah.
So they could actually. So I have a 4-round fight. I could get $25 for the 4-round fight.
A lot of times, what you'd see, and we changed the regulations here in California because I kept seeing it. It was mainly down in San Diego when they'd bring the fighters from TJ over. I would see $1. It was just over and over and over. UCLA actually did a big report on this and policy paper, and it was $1. And we changed the regulation at that time to $100 a round, so they get $400 for a 4-rounder. And then you don't have to worry about the insurance here in California because we require the 50,000. A lot of places, though, last year Governor Newsom signed new legislation that moved it to $200 per round here in California. And California's got the highest minimum standard in the country. So you fight a 4-rounder here, you get $800, or an MMA fighter's guaranteed $600 if it's sanctioned by the athletic commission. But most states don't have that, John. Now, there are I wouldn't say most, but there's a whole lot of fighters making greatly more than $100 or $200 a round. A lot of fighters are. John, there are a lot of fighters that are not.
Let me ask you this though, because you being in the position that you're in, and if I'm putting you on the spot, say I can't answer it, it's okay. But you get to see, many times, I've seen what fighters make in the sport of MMA, big time, and I've seen what the middle guys make, and I've seen what the lower guys make. In boxing, I've seen what the middle guys make for the most part. And people have this perception that boxers make a lot more money than MMA fighters. And I keep telling them, no, look at the top guys, Canelo Alvarez. Yes, he makes more than MMA fighters. He's one of those rare ones. And there's always a couple guys that you can, pick out that stand on the top of Everest. But it's not, first off, most people can't get to the top of Everest. They never get there. And if I compare what is being paid out, I would honestly say, for the most part, mid-level, fucking guys in the UFC are making way more than boxers are making. Mid-level, lower
There's
level.
no doubt.
Okay.
There's no doubt about it, John. There's no doubt. I mean, they're like, just pull the purse sheets. That's all you've got to do. I mean, this doesn't count any kind of bonuses and None of the rest of the stuff. UFC likes to give a lot of bonuses out and that type of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about just what's on the pay sheet. Um, now, again, like you just said, some of the real top guys, Canelo, which by the way, I would uh, argue successfully that a lot of he's a very good boxer, but I thought that he was promoted very well by Oscar. I mean, he was with Oscar for most of his career, Golden Boy, and I thought they did a really good job promoting him because he become really known during that. I mean, I thought his stardom kind of started coming up from that because they were putting him in big fights and taking the things and that type of stuff. And then Terrence Crawford continually moved up the rankings and not the rankings. He's had belts, but he's like the popularity. And then we saw the other night that he is the best boxer of our generation. We
Oh,
saw
no
it.
doubt. No doubt.
And
I've told people that forever, and I've had a lot of them tell me I was crazy, and he just keeps on proving them wrong because he's just unbelievably good. I've watched him. He toys with people, and even when even those times you'll see someone actually do fairly well with him, he'll come back in the next round and he fights it completely different, and all of a sudden takes over and you're just like, Jesus Christ, he's good.
and it was so impressive, John, because Canelo Alvarez is a very good fighter.
Oh,
He's a
he's
very good
phenomenal.
like and
Andy, there was a moment, and I say it was the 11th round of that fight where Canelo was pressing. He was trying. This is why I was like, a lot of people I heard say, oh, he didn't, he wasn't really going after him. What the hell when you're getting punched in the face like he was, you can only go so fast forward. And there was a moment he went to throw a combination and Crawford took a step, hits him to the body, and a straight right down the pipe that just pops his head back. And you see Canelo take a step backwards. Crawford's here. He takes a step backwards, kind of walks off to the side and gives a shake like, son of a bitch, I can't get to this guy. And you saw the frustration in one of the best boxers of our time in that he could not figure out the puzzle.
yeah, I I thought Crawford had and this is a really great fight. But when he fought Madrimov over here, I
Yeah.
thought I thought I thought he had a I think he had a harder time with
Hard night.
Madrimov.
He had a hard
Yeah,
night that night. Yeah.
yeah, but that just shows you what a great boxer Madrimov is as well. I think he's Eddie Hearn's boxer, if I recall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it was really a good night, and it showed exactly just how good Terrence Crawford was. I mean, I couldn't believe it really.
It's the same thing I've been talking about. Like I said, I've been talking up Terrence Crawford forever, and a lot of people just put him down, and it's like, what is it you want to see to make you believe? And I think finally with this fight, they believe. They go, okay, yeah, he's really good. He's been that way since he freaking started. Basically, he has been just unbelievably talented and has picked apart really good fighters.
If you don't believe now, you're in denial. I mean,
Yeah, something like that. That's true. Well, when we look at all this stuff and everything that's going down with TKO, and again, I don't know if you want to call it TKO or Zuffa boxing or whatever it is, they're trying to get the Ali Act changed a little bit. Do you know what it is that they're wanting done as far as the changes?
well, they have a whole bunch of benefits in there for and I don't. It's not just them. There's other. I mean, anybody could do a UBO. I know several promotions that are interested in doing it, but a UBO would. One of the benefits of the boxers is they would get insurance during their training camp as well, which they don't currently have. And there's a lot more medicals like California, top Nevada medicals throughout the thing. Um, but the biggest thing is at least from my view, the biggest thing when I read it is they want to be able to rank their own fighters and have the A side and the B side. That's what it looks like to me as I read it.
So when you talk about ranking your own fighters, that happens kind of in the UFC, as far as it has forever. Then they went to media stuff, Bellator. I'm just being honest. When I was with Bellator, we had a list of, I want to say it was 20 media people that ranked our fighters. And there were times that we would have one fighter beat another fighter and they would still rank that other fighter ahead of them. And I'm like, have you people lost your minds? This person just beat that person and you're still saying that, oh no, this person's better. It's not always the best when you look and say, the ranking wise, I understand the whole thing about, oh, you don't want a promoter because, they can just change, as far as, who they want, where, but it's no different with the promoter, it being the UFC. I'm going to take it, for instance. It has fights right now where it's not the number 1 versus the champion, it's number 5. But that's the fight that people want to see. And so there's times when it's actually beneficial for the promoter to be able, I'm saying that wrong. It's not beneficial for the promoter as far as the rankings, because it really doesn't matter, because they can put who they want against who they want when they want. Is that not true?
No, it's true. And John, when I'm like, I misspoke when I said like, oh, they want to rank their own fighters. That's not that. I mean, they want to do it. To have the media folks do it. But it's the same way that they're doing it on the UFC side. But like, from my understanding of the way it's written, I don't think there would be like mandatories, and certainly not purse bids, because they have both sides of the card, and they would be giving out their own belt as opposed to. I mean, there are some differences of what they're looking to do. But John, this is the key point. If you take away anything from this about the bill, this is the key point about it. Since you asked, it's a choice. I mean, nobody's making anybody do the All Act Reform Act of 2000 is not going anywhere. This is I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but that's not being. It's just this is just an addition that's been added to it. Yeah, to the Professional Boxing Act of 1996 that allows boxers to either choose, it gives them a choice on how they want to handle their career.
I don't know. I look at it and it's right now, in my opinion, boxing needs a shot in the arm. They need someone to come in and start to take and put the fights together. It's like we had Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. That was great to have. And it sold a ton, but it was 7 to 8 years too late.
Yeah.
And so these moments in time, it's kind of like I'll put it to MMA, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. I know the UFC was trying to put that together, but you can't make someone accept a fight. You can't. It's just, you can offer it, and then they can have whatever reasons they want for turning it down. Sometimes it's based upon, I don't really want to fight that person, or I don't think I'm getting enough money for it, or whatever it is. But you're going to have those times when, fighters are not going to, be matched up. But it's nice to know that, for the most part, if I'm watching MMA, I know for the most part, I'll see a lot of the best versus the best throughout the year, not waiting 7 to 8 years.
Well, John, that's true. They have a financial incentive to do that. Just whether it's Scott or whether it's Dana White or whoever's doing the promotion, there's a financial incentive to make good fights, because you want people to watch your TV show, or they want, or tune in or stream in, whatever you call it. You want people to buy your tickets to come to the show, so you have an interest in making good competitive fights. Whereas in the boxing model, you obviously want that. Your promoter absolutely wants people to come and wants people to, but there's also an interest in, if they have the A side and the B side, it doesn't have a promoter, which is often happens. The term journeyman or opponent. I mean, these are terms that get thrown around in boxing a lot. You don't hear them too much in mixed martial arts, but in boxing, you you have that because it's very important in boxing to protect that undefeated record. There's importance to that. And in mixed martial arts, if you get a loss or 2 losses, or for goodness sakes, you can get 5 losses, 10 losses. If you're still fighting good, they'll.
If you're an
you don't-
exciting, how many people? I always say this, like, all right, Justin Gaethje has how many losses, right? Now, if you look at his record, he came into the UFC, he was undefeated, right? But he's 20-9 now. All right, that's his record. And a lot of those losses, you know, are, you take a look at who they're to. They're all to the top level guys out there. He lost to Eddie Alvarez. He lost to, Max Holloway. And you take a look at that. Who is it that doesn't want to watch Justin Gaethje fight? Who? How could you not want to watch him fight? He's called the human highlight reel for a reason, and that's because he comes out and he fights. And there's been boxers that are absolutely just. Arturo Gatti was a boxer. I don't care what his record was at the time that he was fighting. It was Arturo Gatti, and I knew that every time I turned on one of his fights, he was going to fight his ass off. And that's what you're looking for. That's what that's what it's about. I don't give a damn what his record is. It just makes sense that go.
I think that there are some elements that both sides, both sports can learn from each other, but I do believe boxing should learn from MMA on if the fight's exciting, if the guy gets a loss or two. It's sad because a lot of times if they're in a big fight, their earning potential is cut by more than 50% on the next fight. I see it over and over and over. If they don't win, and then they're I don't want to call it stuck at the end of the line, but it can be a while before they get, especially if their promoter doesn't have, because sometimes the promoter and I should mention the manager here too, because there are some managers that are just bulldogs for their fighter. Rick Meridian from Fresno, man, that guy, yeah. he is
good.
Like,
he's doing what he's supposed to do.
He is absolutely because I hear about it from the other side, and be like, well, he did what? He negotiated what? And we're hearing that, and then another way you can tell, because I do the arbitrations, is if you don't have a manager being filed on very often, like nobody ever wants to leave this guy. Something right's happening over there, because I think in my whole time doing this, I think Meridian's only had one that filed on him, and then that person went back to him.
I got some good news, ladies and gentlemen.
Our podcast, Weighing In, was the first podcast to ever partner with OnlyFans,
bringing you guys the best content we possibly can in the combat sports industry. We are making some leeway on bringing sports to the OnlyFans platform,
where top-tier, world-class athletes can connect with their fans. We're talking about combat sports athletes like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, Chris Cyborg,
Luke Rockhold,
AJ McKee.
We've also got pro surfers like Billy Kemper. Some chilling news.
I want you to head on over to the Weighing In OnlyFans channel.
More connection with our fans on our OnlyFans channel.
Only available on OnlyFans.
I'm sorry, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. California's internet is just not what it used to be. But before we go on, I want everyone to know that I am proud to be sponsored by LMNT. This is one of my favorite things to drink. I love the black cherry lime. LMNT is a fantastic electrolyte athlete. When you're looking to be an athlete and you're looking for hydration, this is what you want. They have the cans that are basically like a soda, or they have the packs that you can put into your water bottles. You're talking about 1,000 milligrams of salt. You're talking about 200 milligrams of potassium and 60 milligrams of magnesium. You need all of those things to help rehydrate your body. Water's great, but it doesn't have the minerals that you need. Go to LMNT, LMNT, and check out all the different flavors they have. They have all the kinds of new ones. They got lemonade and orange. They've got even the chili mango lime. They got all kinds of different flavors depending upon what your taste is, but LMNT is a fantastic drink. I love it. I drink it all the time. It's all I drink all day besides water. Go try out LMNT. We also are sponsored by Setri Barrel Saunas. I will tell you that I have a Setri Barrel Sauna in my backyard. It is fantastic. Mine is the wood burning kind. That's because that way it gets super hot. You can pour the water on the rocks and the steam gets hot. It can get over 180 degrees if you're not careful, but they are absolutely well-crafted, fine pieces of equipment, because it's equipment. You're putting your body in there. You got to make sure that this thing is going to work right. They are handmade barrel saunas. They got beautiful roofs on them. They are put together. If you look at the way that they're put together, it's just beautiful craftsmanship. Go to Setri, S-E-T-R-I, Barrel Saunas. They are the best when it comes to getting, and they will hand deliver that sauna to you. They're a great company. Check them out. All right, and the last thing I want to talk about is We Want Picks is a sponsor that we have gotten together with. Now, We Want Picks is not a gambling site. What it is if you are a fan of fighting, if you want to gamble, you can use the metrics off of it. There are algorithms where they take fighters and they give you all of the statistics of that fighter. They take the fighter, break down their significant strike rate for the first round, for the first minute, all these different things that can help you know more about those fighters. They're a fantastic resource if you are into telling your friends who's going to win the next fight. This can be the difference maker in you being right or wrong. If you want to use it for gambling, I guess you can go gamble if you want. That's something that's on you, not me. But I'm telling you right now, you want to get the best information, and this is the way to get it. Go check them out. Use our tagline of "and still." That will get you a percentage off, and that will get you in. I believe I want to say it's $10 a month. It's $100 for a year, and it's $300 for a lifetime membership for you to have all of that information at your fingertips.
Please go to wewantpicks.com/offer and use code "and still" all capitals, and you will get a 10% discount.
Thank you, George. All right, let's get on with some news here and stuff. We've talked about all the boxing and sanctioning and UFC stuff. Let's go. Let's get something else. Give me something, George.
All right, so this morning, we've talked about it a little bit on this channel, but this morning, an update. Roger Jackson, after his incident at Knox County Pro Wrestling, he was arrested this morning, and he is being held on a $50,000 bond. What do you think about this?
Well, we've talked about this, and the moment that it happened, I said, look, this is it basically comes down to the FAFO. Roger made something happen after, there was an incident before. He felt disrespected with the can thing. The man apologized to him. He shook his hand right there. It's over. When they talk about giving, the one wrestler saying, you can give him a receipt. A receipt is one shot. It's a hard shot back. If in pro wrestling, someone gives you a hard shot, you give them a hard shot back. That's the receipt. He went way above and beyond what anyone would have expected. He did it maliciously. I love, like I said, I love Quentin. I've known Quentin forever. It does not in any way, a 25-year-old man should know better than, hey, I have to worry about getting my respect back when it comes to the world of pro wrestling, which is all a work. There's no shoot in it. You made it a shoot. That's illegal. And now that he's been arrested, the $50,000 bond, I'm sure that, Quentin can raise that and get his son out for a while. But, this is, there are consequences to actions. And when you overstep what is reasonable and stuff, this is what happens. There used to be a show on the air called Beretta. And Robert Blake was a detective, and it said, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Well, I'm sure that Roger wasn't thinking about it being a crime, but he's going to end up, I'm not saying he's going to do jail time, but he's going to end up paying the price somehow through, community time, all kinds of things, whatever it is, probation. He's going to end up, being responsible. And then there's going to be a lawsuit on top of it. There will be a civil lawsuit because he can't do what he's doing. Andy, you don't have to talk about that at all if you want.
Yeah.
The pro wrestling world. On to the next, George.
All right. Well, Dana White was recently on Logan Paul's podcast, and the topic of Ariel Helwani came up. Dana White asked how he was doing, and Logan Paul responded with, he's upset that the relationship is what it is with the UFC. Dana, in response to that, said, yeah, I'm upset about it too. Maybe we should figure this thing out. We should probably all get back together. What do you think about this? Is this good news? Should we have more Ariel Helwani closer to the UFC, or should he continue to be an outcast? What do you think, Big John?
I'm sitting on the outcast side now. It's a matter of, look, I think it's great if they can get together and squash the beef. You have to understand, what happened. The UFC was trying to. We were in California. Andy was there. Yeah, he remembers it well, and I can tell you, just at the moment when that news came out, because it was at UFC 199, and they were going to, put out this thing over the air at UFC 199 that Brock Lesnar was coming back for UFC 200, and Ariel broke it early. And when they found out, I can tell you, they were getting up out of theirs. They were pissed. They absolutely exploded. And Lorenzo Fertitta was one of the ones that said, I can't believe he did that. And Dana reacted off of it. And that's where the beef really started. Eventually time heals everything. And I truly hope, that Dana and Ariel can squash it. Ariel can, become a reporter as far as, reporting on the UFC at the event, if that's what he wants to do. I'm not sure that's what he wants to do now, but I think everyone grows and learns. We know where we made our mistakes, and I think it's great that they get back together. Andy, what do you think about that? You like Ariel. You know Ariel well. You know Dana well.
I know Ariel well. I don't know Dana too well. I've talked to him a few times, but not like But I like them both, and I think that I think it would be good if they. But that's up to them too. But Ariel's a good reporter. I mean, he's excellent reporter. I think I like listening to him. I like his insights, and he got, at least from my view, he got really popular covering the UFC. At least that's how I got.
Oh, there's no look at Dana. Let's be honest. Dana helped make Ariel. He allowed Ariel on the inside and gave Ariel the breaking news and all these things because it helped Dana too. Dana is not like Dana wasn't getting some from it, but that relationship is what made Ariel very, very popular. And then when Dana crushed it, it changed the whole thing. But you got to give Dana a lot of credit in that Ariel did his job. I'm not saying taking anything away from him as a reporter. He did his job. He did it well. He put out the news. He asked great questions. But he was given that opportunity and put in that place by Dana.
Yeah, and hopefully they can, work it out because, like you said, time's passed, and it was neat to see Dana on Logan's podcast,
which is kind of funny after all the stuff that his brother Jake has said about Dana and everything.
I don't know.
He doesn't shy away.
I don't know Logan hardly at all, but he did the fight out here with
KSI.
us, and I'll tell you that he was incredibly professional the entire time. Did everything we asked of him, and I don't know if he's going to box anymore, but he's welcome to box here anytime he wants to.
I'll tell you what, he's professional. You got to look and say the way he's doing the WWE and some of the high flying acrobatic stuff. The guy's an athlete.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He is an athlete, and he is it's not easy to be a guy that can sell things in the WWE and do it the way he has with as little actual time. And I don't know how much he has practiced and trained for it, but he does some phenomenal work out there, and he's very impressive.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, next one.
All right. Well, on September 12th, college wrestling phenomenon Gable Stevenson made his MMA debut. Stevenson,
There you
sorry, Gable Stevenson. He made his MMA debut with a 98-second TKO victory in the first round. What do you think this means for him? Is he going on from wrestling, from not doing WWE to finally MMA? Is he going to take this seriously? What do you think?
Oh, he's going to take it seriously. Andy, did you watch the fight?
I watched I did watch it.
Yeah.
Yes.
What'd you think?
Well, I mean, look, man, the guy's impressive, John. I mean, like,
I would say so.
I mean, but I think he's doing it the right way. I think he's doing it the right way. I mean, didn't he do it with Ed? Isn't that who he did it with? Was it LFA?
Yeah, it was LFA.
LFA,
So
yeah.
Ed Soros.
And so I think he's doing it the right way by not jumping to the big show right like immediately. I think he's probably doing it exactly the way he should be doing it, figuring it out, learning. Because LFA is a pretty high level promotion, but it's not UFC, but it's one step below, I would say.
Yeah, no, it's a great regional promotion, and they do a phenomenal job. I'm going to say this about it: like Gable Stevenson, and I think when you say that, you believe he's doing it the right way, I agree with you, and I think the comparison would be Bo Nickel, who went from basically an NC2A wrestler right into the Dana White Contender Series. Now, Dana didn't take him on the first one; he made him fight twice. So he got 2 wins, which was, that's good. But now you are a guy stepping into the UFC at 2-0. There's so much for you to learn about the sport that you think you have no idea. There's so many elements that you have to start to be able to hone your skills in a way that I don't care about the wrestling background. Gable Stevenson is a more accomplished wrestler than Bo Nickel, but he's doing the right thing. If he can stay with the LFA and just get 4 fights, give me 4 with the LFA, and then if they want to do the Dana White thing, I'm not sure that's what's going to happen. The UFC will probably just pull him straight in, but every fight that you have, you're going to learn something, and it's going to help with your experience going forward. And look, he looked fantastic, but what did you expect? He's an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. The takedown came about as easy as it can come. And then he is a big, strong human being. When you're talking about heavyweights, I tell people all the time, look, you cannot be underneath a heavyweight in mixed martial arts for very long. There is too much damage that you're going to take. They hit too hard. It's just the human body. I don't care what size you are. It can only take so much of what a heavyweight is putting down with elbows and punches. And that's why Jon Jones, when he's elbowing guys, from the top position like Stipe, I mean, to actually have that guy get away from that at a certain point and be able to get up and go to his corner, that's saying a lot about, Stipe Miocic as a fighter. And Gable Stevenson is going to learn all of these techniques, and he's going to learn how to transition and get more comfortable. And he's got to get more comfortable in the stand-up. The stand-up is always going to be the thing that, he's going to be lacking for a while. But, I kind of equate Gable to Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez was a guy, if you're looking, he fought in Strikeforce in his first fight. He went to Bodog and fought in St. Petersburg, Russia in his second fight. He couldn't get another fight after that. It was nobody wanted to fight him. He couldn't sign a fight. And I think you're going to see the same thing with Gable Stevenson. It's going to get to a point that he can't get a fight on the regional scene. That's why he's going to have to go and step into the UFC. But I've been saying it for a while. The one thing about, I think the UFC could absolutely use an athlete like Gable Stevenson. He's going to only help them because, the heavyweight division right now, it doesn't have a ton of talent. There's a couple in there, but you start looking and, you get into the heavyweight division and you get into the, 10 down, Ante Ilia just beat, God dang it. Tybura, Marcin Tybura. He just beat Marcin Tybura in his first fight. And he's ranked, I believe, at number 10 now. Okay. And you take a look at all these people, Mick Parkins, he's, tough guy, good striking. He's going to get taken down and beat to death by Gable Stevenson. And you look at, Taliesin Teixeira, big, tall guy, good striking. He can't freaking keep Gable Stevenson. So you take a look, he's gonna vault himself up into the top 10 super fast. And then, it'll be where he's up against the tougher talent. So I hope he does get, himself 4 to 5 if they can get him that many fights in the LFA, and then decide if you're going to move on with the UFC, because that's where, eventually that's where he's going. It's just get as much background as you can before you get there.
I'll tell you though, John, don't you think over the last 20 years, one of the biggest things I've saw in mixed martial arts is the takedown defense has improved. I mean, it's pretty impressive from where it was 20 years ago.
Oh, there's no doubt, but see, a lot of that, if you're looking at it, Andy, I mean, well, you go from the flyweights to the bantamweights to the featherweights to the lightweights to the welterweights, all that grouping, man, those guys, they can not only wrestle offensively, they can wrestle, defensively. But if you look, this is what I'm talking about when, you look at the heavyweights. Cyril Gahn is the number one. Well, Tom Aspinall's the champion, but Cyril Gahn is the number one. He's going to be fighting Tom Aspinall. How good is his wrestling defense? Not that good. There's just not that many people in the heavyweight division. Alexander Volkov is number 2. He's not a wrestler. Sergey Pavlovich is number 3. Decent, a little bit of combat sambo, big striking, but decent. Curtis Blades is number 4. He could wrestle. Okay, Jailton Almeida. He can wrestle, but he tends to burn his energy out. I think number 6 is Acosta Cortez, Waldo Acosta Cortez. I mean, he's a good striker. He's got pretty good wrestling defense, but he's not stopping Gable Stevenson. There's just he can't do it. And so there's and one of my favorites is Derek Lewis. He's fun. The Black Beast he's a blast, but he can't go against a good wrestler most of the time because he's got the one win against Curtis Blades with the big uppercut, beautifully done. But, you take a look at, Daniel Cormier. Look at how easily he took him down multiple times. And, it's just in the heavyweight division, we don't get a whole lot of guys that can truly wrestle. And that's where Gable's going to have a huge advantage in that pool of fighters.
Cormier was like that. He was an excellent wrestler like that.
Yeah, look at Daniel Cormier doesn't get the credit he deserves for how good his wrestling was and how well he did transition to MMA. I give Daniel all kinds of trouble all the time because he's funny as hell as far as his comments. But man, the guy was an athlete. He really was. Josh, being his teammate and stuff is always trying to put it out there, but people don't listen so much. Daniel Cormier was a special athlete and a great wrestler.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Come on, George.
All right. So recently, Ilia Topuria was in an interview, and he mentioned that neither Arman nor Justin nor Patty is going to be his next opponent. What do you think about this? Is he just trying to get that Islam match set up? Islam recently said that the toughest opponent for Ilia would obviously be Arman, and that he is ducking Arman. Do you think he is just ducking Arman, or he really wants the Islam fight?
First off, I don't think Andy, I'll let you go first. You want to go first on this one?
I mean, John, I don't know where you're at. I don't think Topuria's ducking anybody. I just think this is the way that the fight game is. There's a million reasons why you would want to do it. One fight over the other. Maybe it's promotion. Maybe the promoter has offered a different fight or is talking to you about a different fight. Who knows? But at that level, I don't think any of the fights are easy.
I mean, this is one of those ones you're sitting there saying, I don't think, obviously the UFC is not going to offer Ilia Topuria a fight against Islam Makhachev right now. Islam has a fight. It's November 15th in Madison Square Garden. He's going to be fighting Jack Della Maddalena, which is not an easy fight. That is a very tough fight for him. And so if the UFC was offering, just think about it. If the UFC was offering right now Ilia Topuria a fight against Islam, how do you think that they deal with JDM at this point? How do you think Jack Della Maddalena feels about the fact that they're going to all of a sudden give Islam, a guy that he hasn't even fought yet, I'm going to give you another title fight, the other way. I don't think that Islam, if he wins the fight against Jack, is going to be going back down to 155. I believe Ilia will be coming up to 170, which is a big step, but okay, you want to make it. But right now, they cannot offer the Islam fight to Ilia Topuria. He has, 2 more months to wait, let's say. So he's got 2 months to wait before that can even be talked about. So right now I look, do I think that Ilia Topuria is ducking anyone? Look, he's not scared of anyone. He's not ducking anyone. But he's smart enough to look and say, look, where's my money fight at? Which one is going to give me more as far as bargaining power from where I sit? Is it fighting Arman? Is it fighting Justin? Or is it waiting and seeing if Islam beats JDM? And then I go and say, yeah, I want that fight. And now asking for a sizable chunk of money to make that fight happen, because it's a fight that the UFC is going to market the hell out of, and they're going to make a lot of money off of it, which they should. And he could make a lot of money too. Everything when you are the champ is about, okay, what fight's going to excite me? Because sometimes there's ones that don't, but they're the ones that the people want to see. And you go, and the UFC's coming at you saying, hey, we need you to fight this guy. He's 9-0 now in his last 9 fights. You got to take it. But he doesn't excite me. I don't care if he excites you. The fans want to see that fight, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, that's just the way it happens. And so, again, Ilia Topuria is not afraid of anyone. He's not afraid of Arman. He is not afraid of Justin, but he is right now being a businessman and trying to figure out what's the best route for him to get the biggest paycheck.
Yeah, that's what I think.
About right? Okay.
That's I mean, you can't make them fight, so I think he's just negotiating.
Yep. And sometimes you get, what? I used to call it, he's riding the fence. He's sitting on that fence post, waiting on, straddling both sides, deciding which way he's going to go based upon what information he ends up getting. But I don't have to jump off the fence post right away. I can wait. And that's what he's doing. All right, George, let's go.
All right. Well, in his match against Dustin Poirier at UFC 318, Max Holloway suffered an injury that is said to keep him out until 2016. Who should Max Holloway fight next?
But you just said it. He's not fighting anybody
Until 2026.
2026 at least.
But after that.
That's okay. That's after that. I mean, if you're taking a look, there's so many people that he could fight. I just look right now. Right now, Max is ranked, I believe, 3rd in the lightweight division. That's only Arman Sarukian and Islam ahead of him, even though Islam should not even be in there. Islam should be pulled from the lightweights. He is a welterweight. He's fighting for the welterweight title. He has dropped his title as a lightweight. That's how Ilia Topuria picked it up. So I say that only Arman Sarukian is ahead of him right now. You take a look and say, there's been fights. He had a fight with Charles Oliveira that was, absolutely non-consequential as far as right away Charles had an injury, something with his clavicle or shoulder, and the fight was stopped early in the first round with really nothing happening. So you could put those two back together, but I would tell you the fight that I'd really want to see, if I'm going to say let him come back, let him go with someone that wants to be a crazy man and stand with him, that'd be Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is an absolute madman. He's crazy as far as his mentality when it comes to the fighting world, and him and Max Holloway matched up together. I'll pay my money to see it. What about you, Eddie? Who would you want to see him fight?
Yeah, that fight's compelling. I mean, one thing, John, that when you got a guy that's hurt and they have to sit out for a while, sometimes it's hard at that level. but it's better to bring them back against not. You got to kind of see where they're at in a
Yeah,
way. Like,
see, now you're talking just like a regulator, and I agree with you. But
yeah,
the UFC pays Max a lot of money. They're going to put him against someone good.
that's
It's
that's
just the way it
100%.
is.
You're right because it's
Yeah,
like that level. It's hard, but
yeah,
if his name wasn't Max Holloway,
totally different.
I would be looking at Max Holloway. I mean, every fight he he is just a very exciting. Everybody likes him. He's a fan favorite. I mean, he's a really, and I think he carries himself well. Like he's
Oh,
a good ambassador for mixed martial arts. I think.
and yeah, I always say the two people that I think have the best resume in mixed martial arts was Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. And they have fought each other multiple times. But okay, just you take a look. If you look at Max's last 5 fights, he just the fight he's got injured in with Dustin Poirier. The one before that was he lost to Ilia Topuria, quite a upscale opponent. His fight before that was his fight with Justin Gaethje, where he knocked Gaethje out in the last second of the fight. His fight before that was the Korean Zombie. His fight before that was Arnold Allen, who no one gives credit to. His fight before that was Volkanovski. I mean, if you go down the list of his opponents, this guy has fought the who's who in the UFC and especially in the featherweight division. He is remarkable, and it's like every time that he steps in there, you're going to get a show. You're going to get a fight. He's going to give you everything that he has. So I just look at him. I think he's one of the most remarkable fighters the UFC has ever had.
I agree with that. Yes, I agree with that.
All right, George.
All right.
Next up.
So, Misfits Boxing has been doing some interesting stuff, and apparently they're trying to set up a little boxing match between Darren Till and Andrew Tate. What do you guys think about this? Is it good for the sport of boxing to have these kind of stuff going on? Is it a fun fight to even make? What do we think of it?
I'll let you go first, Andy.
Well, I would want to see. I would want to see some sparring between them. I mean, like I'd see some film, something. I don't.
On who? On Tate?
I want to see some things. What are they actively doing right now? What have they done? I want to see. I don't know. Like just some footage, whatever. But here's what I wouldn't let them do, and I talked about this at the conference with the Misfits guy. I'm not a fan of that tag team. Have you seen the tag team from Misfits? Have you saw this, John?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. I'm not cool with tag team boxing.
No.
I mean, that's a bridge too far.
Yeah. But, I'll give it for I don't know what Andrew Tate's true record is. I know, that he was a professional kickboxer. He had a record somewhere. He had over 80 fights as a kickboxer. Now, as a boxer, I don't know if he's ever had a true boxing, but he definitely had a significant kickboxing career. He was part of that the TV show that Denise Kielholtz was his coach, in it, that he actually did well in and stuff. So he can fight. I'm not saying that he can't fight. I don't see a problem with them putting that fight together. As far as Darren Till obviously is a real fighter. He's been in the UFC. Just knocked out Luke Rockhold. He's doing really well in the boxing. But this is what Misfits does. They put together these types of fights with personalities. And Andrew Tate is absolutely a personality. All I know is for them to get Andrew Tate, they're going to have to pay him a shit ton of money.
Well, he fought for a while, didn't he, John? He's got fights, don't he?
He's got a lot.
A lot of fights.
He's got a lot.
But has he? I mean, when's the last time he's fought?
I know he's always sparring, because you can see film of him sparring and stuff. And his brother did the same thing and stuff. But I don't know when his last recorded fight was. I want to
2020.
say, what, 2020? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's 5 years.
5 years.
And I
Yep.
think, I mean, John, like I didn't really know about this question, but Till's been kind of active, has he not? He's been active, I think. When's the last
No,
time that Till's fought? Till's fought recently.
he just fought last month. He just fought against Luke Rockhold. Was it the end of August or was
Yeah,
it
I knew it was recent.
beginning of September?
Yeah, so you've got a little bit of inactivity there. I mean,
a lot.
and then the thing with misfits, I mean, like they usually do the lower number of rounds, don't they? The 4 rounders.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they do 6 rounders. They've done 8, I believe.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you'd have to see, but I mean, you just have to see. They're both experienced, you know. It just if they're in shape and they're trained, they both had fights. But I'm not a fan of the tag team part of it.
I would definitely. The part that I would love is I don't know if you've listened to Darren Till at all, but he is hysterical. To have him mouthing off to Andrew Tate and then to listen to Andrew Tate mouthing back off to Darren Till, that would be just classic unto itself. I would love just to watch the media and see them build it up because both of them can absolutely flap their lips very well.
I mean, that'd be a real fight. I don't think the Triple BOC regulates the British Boxing Board of Control regulates misfits over there.
They don't regulate them?
No, they do not.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
which means that the fights they're not, unless something's changed, John. They didn't as of about last month. And they don't record them, so they're not recorded on the professional boxing record.
Did you see Tony Ferguson's fight against Salt Poppy?
No, I did not see that.
Tony actually looked good. He really did look good. And he obviously is always in shape. And man, he came out and he was putting some volume on him. And at the end, he just sat there, he's just punching.
I had heard about it. I was real proud for him because because he was going to fight in that Global Fight League. He called me, but then that didn't work out.
The Gone Forever League. That's what I call it.
Okay, yeah.
All right, next one there. Come on.
All right. Well, we've touched on this a little bit briefly before, but Jon Jones has mentioned that he is, and I quote, "I am not actually retired. I'm actively training 5 days a week." Is this just more desperate clause to get on the White House card, or is he just genuinely not retired? What do you think?
I think Jon definitely has finally something that has put a bug up his butt about fighting for the UFC. He wants to be on that White House card. And it's been fairly evident that Dana has said, no, that's not going to happen. And I think it's bothering Jon. And Jon is going to continue to show Dana how prepared he is to go do it. I think, it all comes down to the problem of past experiences, and in big fight cards, UFC 200, Jon has ended up having to pull out based upon things done. And I think Dana is at that point, I can't have it to where I put you as, a main event because all the stuff anyone wants to talk about. If Dana was able to put Tom and Jon together, now that Tom is the heavyweight champion, that is not going below Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. That is your main event. And I'm not sure that Dana trusts Jon enough for Dana to put that out there as his main event and then have something happen with it. And I mean, I would love to see it. I think it's a fight that needs to happen. I think it's awesome that Jon would take that fight if he fights in the White House. I just don't know if Dana's going to end up in the end saying it's worth it. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think Jon's retired. I don't think Jon's retired. No, I don't think that. But I don't think that that's up to his promoter on whether he wants to put him on the card. And that White House card, I mean, that's never happened at all. Like not ever. I mean,
ever.
we wouldn't ever even have. I mean, can you imagine 20 years ago having a conversation that they're going to put the cage on? I mean, you couldn't even have that like. It's kind of funny now, but
Oh
it's
my God.
real. But
Yeah.
I mean, this is I mean, this sport went from being human cockfighting, like that type of thing. You know, I mean, back I'm talking about a long
Yeah.
time ago, what it was called, to regulate it across the entire country and across the whole world, to now being potentially at the on the grounds of the White House. I mean, they say it's happening. I believe it.
Oh, I believe it's happening.
Yeah,
I don't doubt it for a moment. It is amazing because if you look, if you're an old bastard like me and you've gone through all of every level of what has happened with this sport and the things that people have called it and the things that people have called me, and just based upon, oh, it's so horrible and we're trying to kill people, and to see it now, I love it. I think it's just, it's, I always used to say that, the hardest part of what I was doing back in the early days when it came to trying to get places to regulate it, going through court cases and all this stuff, testifying in court, was it was very difficult to get past a person's perception, because they believed what they were saying was the truth because they perceived it. And that was always a very difficult aspect of, how do you talk to this person in a respectful way where they're basically saying you're a liar? Because that's what they were doing, is, they're saying, no, you're lying about that. And it's like, no, I'm not lying. And you have a perception, but your perception isn't reality. And this is why it's not. And it was always one of the hardest things to actually get through, was getting them to actually break down their perceptions and beliefs and to accept facts. The facts were there. They just didn't want to listen to them because, no, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen plenty. I've seen enough. All I need to see. No, you're not seeing it because you're not understanding it. And that was always the tough part. Think about it. That was from '93. When did you first fight, Andy? What year?
I don't remember, John. I was training really hard. I got my blue belt, I think, in '98, maybe,
Okay.
with Jacare. And then those comments went out. Maybe they were 2001, something like that.
No, 2001, we were past a lot of it.
Maybe it was 2000. I don't know. It was somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I thought we were done. Like,
Oh,
I thought that. I
you
believed
know how many times?
Yeah, I thought we were done. I'm talking about the MMA era. Back then, it
The
was called
sport.
no holds barred, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I started just doing the boxing, and then in 2002 or three, something like that, a couple of us got together, paid some money to some lobbyists. I called people I knew. They run the bill. They got it back legal in Georgia, but it had to be sanctioned. And
Okay.
that was, I mean, that, yeah.
Because
So
we had multiple events in Georgia.
yeah, no, it's right. I mean, down in Augusta at the
Yep.
thing. Yeah, I know. I remember. Um, and then you guys run a lot of things over in Birmingham,
Yep.
over there, because it was getting to be like regionalized in some ways back then. But
Yeah.
like when Lorenzo bought it, and they brought in Mark Ratner and they brought in the crew, that just it blew up. I mean,
Oh,
they did well.
crazy.
I mean, when they did that deal, when Dana White and them negotiated that thing for the Ultimate Fighter, and then Forrest fought Stefan at the end of it, that became water cooler talk. I mean, for a long time, like everybody
Oh,
was talking about that fight. That was one
yep.
of the best fights. To this day, that's one of the best fights. I mean, I love
Now,
that fight.
I'll give you a little story, because back in, I want to say it was Des Moines, Iowa, we did a show. It was UFC 21. And the headliner of it was Maurice Smith against Marco Ruas. That was the
Yep.
main event. But the big thing of the night was that Lorenzo Fertitta, Glenn Carano, Skip Homansky were at the event for the Nevada State Athletic Commission, because the UFC owners at the time were trying to get regulated in the state of Nevada. And Lorenzo was a commissioner. Glenn Carano was a commissioner. Glenn Carano being the father of Gina Carano. Glenn also being a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and everything and other things. And then Skip Homansky was the chief medical advisor for the Nevada State Athletic Commission at the time. And, they came to the fights, and there was one fight. It was Jeremy Horn versus a guy named Daiju Takasi. And Jeremy was way bigger than Daiju Takasi, because at the time, I want to say the middleweight it was a middleweight fight, and I think middleweight, we didn't have the 185, so middleweight went up to 200, and Takasi probably weighed 170, 165, 170. So Horn looked bigger anyways. Horn takes him down. Takasi's really good on the ground, but Jeremy's good on the ground too. And when you're just the bigger, stronger fighter, he just decimated Takasi with elbows. And it was Mario Yamazaki was the referee, and I'm yelling at him, stop the fight, right? Finally, he stops the fight. But I went out to dinner with those three gentlemen and the one person that was with them, and to answer their questions and stuff. And it was so funny because back then, Glenn Carano did not like it at all. He was like, I don't like it. He goes, these guys are trying to hurt each other. And I tried to break it down for him. I said, well, I understand the way you're looking at it. I said, but understand they're trying to win. They don't want to hurt each other, but, damage is part of, how you break down a fighter so you can get the win. I said, it's no different than when you were playing football. I said, do you think that, when you drop back for a pass and Lawrence Taylor is coming around your backside and gets past that tackle and zeroes in on, do you think he's just trying to tackle you, or is he trying to put you out of the game? What's best for his team to win? I go, that's what he's trying to do. He goes, no, it's totally different. Well, and then there was Lorenzo. Lorenzo looks at me. He goes, look, I understand what's kind of going on. He goes, but I don't like seeing a fighter that's on the ground getting hit. Right. Then I go, I understand that. I said, you come from the world of boxing. I said, it's understandable that he goes, no, it's way worse on the ground. I go, no. I go, you actually, you develop more power in the stand up based upon your legs and everything. And I said, look, this is what you're used to. I said, it doesn't matter if it's Holloway. I said, when John Wayne got in a fight, I said, Hollywood never had him jumping on the ground, mounting someone and sitting there beating on him. I said, John Wayne would hit you with a shot, knock you down, right? He would go over, grab you, pick you up, stand you up, and hit you again to knock you down again. He goes, yeah. And I go, that's Hollywood. It's not real fighting. But later on, a couple of shows later, all of a sudden I see Lorenzo Fertitta at the event again. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And that's when he was interested in buying the UFC. So it's amazing how everything just takes a turn.
But they've built a sport out of it. I mean, it's a sport.
Look, they are the reason the sport is where it's at today. There's no doubt about it. I've always said, and Lorenzo, Dana gets all this credit, and he deserves credit. I'm in no way am I saying he doesn't. But Lorenzo didn't want the limelight. He just wanted to win. He didn't want to be out in front. He wanted Dana to be his person out in front, and he would send Dana to do things. But Lorenzo was the brains behind getting that thing going and doing as well as it did. He was an amazing person. When you're around him to watch him work, you go, I hate people that are so smart. It's way smarter than me. But he was definitely the big contributor. Anything else, George?
No, we can end it there if you guys want.
All right. Well, I want to say, Andy, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure having you on. Is there anything you want to put out? I do know that you have something coming out for fighters. I don't know if I can say it right now. You tell me if you want to talk about it real quick.
Yeah, I don't think the rules allow it right yet, but it's coming and it's going to be good.
I'll save it for another time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be good.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for coming on. For everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from this as far as what it's actually like being the fighter and the pay and everything like that. And all the sanctioning bodies out there, stop taking all the money from the fighters. We will see you.
And now bringing you that hard hitting fight analysis, submitting you into paralysis. Josh Thompson head kicking leg to dome, and Big John McCarthy saying let's get it on.